There's a lot of discussion on how the interconnectivity that social media offers people um, aids social interaction or actually deters them. And another reason why I thought this research should be conducted was how social media is now very integrated into basically everything in all fields of work and life. People use social media to keep in touch with their friends and family, but they also use it to start and promote businesses or present themselves professionally. So, for example, making a photography portfolio on Instagram to promote like their business, or using LinkedIn as a way to connect with professionals or others in similar fields. I think that especially as creatives in the field, I think that social media has become increasingly more important for us as it provides an avenue for people to not only find our creative works and commission us, but also for us to promote ourselves in a different way and professionally so that people can see our work. People even use social media platforms as a way to make new friends and form new connections, which previously could only be done through face-to-face interactions. Um, so meeting people through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more, you can form new relationships and maintain um, existing ones. And I think that's definitely um, like social media is definitely an important way in which we interact nowadays. Also, I found it difficult to maintain relationships in recent years, with the impact of COVID-19 and just an ever changing schedule, being busier with school, work, and just trying to balance relationships with people. It's really hard to make time for family and friends. I kind of wondered whether other people were having similar struggles and found that through my friends, they're also struggling to form new relationships with a lack of social spaces, like physical social spaces. So I thought that it would be interesting to learn about how social media has played a role in relationship building and how this integration of technology has given people the opportunity to strengthen and explore new relationships or different types of relationships. So moving into my senior capstone plan, I'm going to be doing a project that will consist of a photo book and an Instagram page. Um, the photo book will contain images that I take personally with family and friends, as well as models to do a more creative representation of it. And the family and friends part will be like a more authentic representation of close relationships. And I will also integrate how social media affects these relationships in these images. Um, I also plan to create an Instagram page. Well, actually, use an Instagram page that already exists for my photography portfolio to post 2 to 3 times a week of kind of the content that I'm shooting for the photo book and demonstrate, like, provide a real demonstration of how social media can make new connections and even maintain old ones. Um, I think that with the posting of like posting regular amounts, I guess, of content will boost my visibility. Also, while using hashtags in like the descriptions and stuff for that kind of stuff, will increase my visibility to people and possibly get people to like contact me for photography and things like that. And it'll just kind of be like a real, like, I guess my personal study on how social media connects you with new people and gets you to maintain relationships with people you already know. Um, yeah, I think that's that. And then I'm gonna move into so what the significance is of my project. So my project is significant because it provides a visual representation of what it means to have a close relationship with the photo book. And it's kind of my take on what it means to have close relationships, but also I'll be showing how other people kind of have their close relationships and what those look like to other people. Um, and it'll also demonstrate in those photos um, how social media affects and contributes to these relationships And I'm going to find a way to visually kind of, I guess, represent that. Um, rather than presenting relationships in a way that's already been seen, my project aims to provide a creative representation of close relationships. Reading articles and things like that are mundane and kind of redundant, at least for me. I lose attention span so fast, and I feel like that with the photos, I hope to provide my audience with an understanding of social media's impact on close relationships, and also just a general representation of close relationships through a series of images, each one illustrating different close relationships that exist, and just how, social media can affect them in that way. Um, and another reason why I think that this project is important is because it'll provide a real demonstration of how social media can impact one's connection with the Instagram page that I'll be doing. With the usage of social media to promote my photography, I'm going to be posting content weekly, and through hashtags and things, it'll increase my visibility. So the chances are that new people will see my content and possibly contact me with photography related things, whether they are photographers who would want to connect with me or clients maybe that would be interested in working with me in that way. So throughout the course of it, I'm planning to note how these people, if they do contact me, how they found me, what relationship we form afterwards, and even how existing relationships connect with me through Instagram and things like that. And I think that this part of the project will show whether social media impacts my relationships and how it does so. Um, so yeah, that is the significance. Moving into my target audience, I plan to focus in on male and female young adults, and more specifically, creative individuals who would find interest in the creative representation of my research. And I thought that this target demographic would be great to focus on after finding out the information on those who use social media the most, which is young adults. Kind of, yeah. But so I found from the Pew Research Center that 93% of young adults go online, and 81% of young adults also have wireless internet user abilities, like capabilities. So that's like a very wide range of people that I would be able to reach. And I also had found in a different study from Pew Research Center that 71% of young adults have used Instagram at least once, and 73% of them visit the site daily. And within that, 53% of them view Instagram several times a day. So with this demographic, I'm guaranteed to reach at least somebody in my demographic. And also, I am a young adult myself. So I feel like through my Instagram page, I would be connecting with majority young adults and people in my age category. So I feel like that it just makes the most sense to aim my content towards this demographic. So with my proposed solution, I will demonstrate my research through photography and collecting information from the insights I gather from the Instagram page. My photography will illustrate close relationships through my lens, through my interpretation, as well as the people that I photograph. My photo with the real relationships that I photograph, and then the creative representation of those close relationships. That's how I'll be doing that. And then the photos will also show social media's impact, through the posting of photos on my Instagram page, and how I guess I interact with people, how people interact with me through my content, and how, again, existing relationships are maintained and new relationships are formed through that content and social media's reach. I will personally be able to see what social media does for my photography and how it can be used to create connections for my photography and business in the future. So moving into the preparation and process for my capstone, I've separated it into pre-production, production, and post-production. Now, some of this is going to kind of overlap a little just because I'll be doing things as I'm doing other things. But basically, for my pre-production phase, it will consist of planning and scheduling shoots. So I'm going to be planning shoots with family, friends, couples, to kind of photograph that authentic relationship. And I was even thinking, like right before my presentation, that I could even photograph people meeting for the first time and seeing how they interact in that way, um, who have only contacted each other through social media previously. And then I will also be planning shoots with models to kind of photograph a more creative representation of close relationships and the effect that social media has on them. So for the more creative shoots, I will also have to gather and prepare sets, props, to kind of convey what I'd like in the photo shoot. And then for both types of photo shoots, I'd have to make sure in pre-production that I prepare the proper equipment, such as camera, lenses, batteries, storage, etc., to make sure that all my shoots go smoothly in the production phase. And so moving into my production phase, for production, I will be executing the shoots weekly and putting my plans into motion. So I will be doing 1 to 2 shoots a week at a designated time and location determined by me and my family member or model or whoever I'm contacting. And in addition to this, I will also be posting to my Instagram 2 to 3 times a week, um, of content that I've already shot for the photo book, or of real time work that I'm doing. So if I'm at a shoot and I make a post to my story, for instance. As I make posts as well, I'm going to be tracking the Instagram insights on a spreadsheet and then record like the amount of likes received, profile visits, interactions, and like new viewers, I guess, and other information to later create an overview of my social media growth and presence. Um, and lastly, I'm going to be going into my post production. So, post production is going to be choosing the best photos from all the shoots that I've shot and then editing them and then organizing it to be assembled into the photo book. I will also be compiling all the Instagram insights and interactions into a final overview that shows kind of my interactions and, I guess, again, the growth and the presence of on social media that I'll have. And yeah, just kind of my overview of what it was like on social media and presenting myself that way. Um, so these are just a few examples of my deliverable and what I'm planning to do. So the first image is of my current photography account that I'll be using to post content on and tracking insights. I will include hashtags in my post again and check the insights on my page weekly to see who's interacting with my page, whether it's new or whether it's existing followers. And I'll also be monitoring my direct messages to see if anyone contacts me interested in my work or would like to connect with me, basically. Um, and the other images are just examples of the type of content that I will be posting and even the type of content that I'll be creating for the photo book. All the content that will be posted is going to be my original work and will include a mix of real relationships, such as the families and couples shown in these images here, and as well as the creative shoots that I mentioned before that I will direct and create with models. Um, so yeah, these are just a few examples. The second photo is like one that I've already done myself, and the other two are kind of photos that I'm probably gonna go for when creating my images and like kind of examples of what I kind of aim to show, I guess. And then moving on to the next one. So these are examples of what I'd like my photo book to look like. And so I'm thinking obviously it's going to be themed and organized in a way to best convey my research on close relationships and the impact social media has on them, only including images of close relationships and my creatively directed images in these in this photo book. And lastly, this is my last slide on my deliverables. So the image on the right are kind of the insights that I'm going to be taking from Instagram. So these are just like kind of what the insight page on Instagram shows for each post that you make. I'm going to be taking these insights and throwing them into a spreadsheet like the one on the top right, and organizing it in a way, just organizing all the insights over time, over the course of the weeks, so that I can see like the change in interactions, the new connections that I make, followers gained, things like that. to see whether regular posting brings attention to my account and how it affects my interactions. And then I will, after putting everything into the spreadsheet, I will probably make graphs to kind of show like the influx of interactions over the weeks and to see not only for myself, but to show, or not only to show you guys how social media has affected my growth, but also to demonstrate to myself, I guess, how social media has impacted my relationships and impacted my growth over time. And yeah, use that as like a real representation of what social media can do for me. And yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, let me know.